Welcome, dear friends, to Cardiac Radio and to the Spiritist Society of Virginia's meeting. We're doing our public meeting as we usually do on Fridays, and now, of course, solely online. Though we know that in the spiritual realm, this is happening, and when you open the doors of your house to this meeting, the center is in your house. So take advantage and open up for this opportunity. Today, we're going to talk about a most needed topic, healing, and how Spiritism can help us in this sense. We are all talking about the healing of the planet, the healing of our minds, the healing of our bodies. How does this happen? We need to understand it, and we are here to team up to share with you the resources we have at hand to understand it all. So to begin it, we're going to ask our friend Luciana Nicoliello to read an inspirational message that may be very pertaining to this moment.
So the reading of tonight is going to be from The Way, the Truth, and the Life, chapter 54. It's called The Vine. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Jesus, John 15:1. God is the eternal creator whose ways are incomprehensible to us. By his unavailable love, all beings are created, and by his wisdom, all the worlds move within the unlimited. Tiny and obscure, the earth cannot fathom the divine grandeur, and yet the Father envelops all of us in the vibration of his glorious goodness. He is the soul of everything, the essence of the universe. We are on the terrestrial field of which he is the owner and the supreme giver. Nevertheless, in order to sense his presence with our limited comprehension, he gave us Jesus as his ultimate personification. It would be useful for people to regard the earth as an immense school of work. And before the grandeur of the universe, all of us should acknowledge our condition as humble beings in need of spiritual growth and illumination. Because of our smallness, we would succumb to spiritual hunger and stagnate in the darkness of ignorance if it were not for the vine of the truth and love that the Supreme Lord gave us in Jesus Christ. From his divine step proceed all our lofty achievements as we toil on the earth. Fed by the sublime source, we must realize that without Christ, the world's organization would crumble due to the lack of foundation. In him, we'll find living bread for our souls. And from the very beginning, his infinite love on the terrestrial orb has been the divine principle of all life's truth.
So now we invite all of you to join us in a prayer. As we pray together to begin this encounter, we explain why we're going to pray. Luciana Nicoliello has just read chapter 54 from the book The Way, the Truth, and the Life by Emmanuel, talking about Jesus as the vine. Now we are being asked to join in prayers. How do we pray collectively in an effective manner? If I pray on my end, thinking on my family and my this and that, and you do too, we're not praying together. When are we praying together? When we are united, thought by thought, feeling by feeling. How do we do it? We need to do it by following the words in our minds and feeling and connecting with our feelings. It's a practice, but if we do it, what happens? It's like a circuit. You enter that Wi Fi, and then once we're there, we're going to be able to explore beautiful things because as you are in your home or wherever you are in this world right now, work, home, you will be benefited as well. It's a matter of attunement, as Emmanuel says. All right, friends? So let us connect and pray together. Dear Mother, Father God, we are deeply grateful for the renewed hope as you mercifully allow us to be here present, cherishing each other's company, the company of the good spirits who care for each one of us, your messengers in your loving abundance. We are in need and in need of you. More than ever on earth, we realize how distant we've been, dreaming daily about temporary goals and making you our daily servant. Please forgive us. Forgive our limitations and our ignorance, for we realize that we are actually your servants, your children, to fulfill your will on earth. We want to know more about how to do so. We want to be empowered to be a better co-creator with you and be ever more open to help deliver your goodness within ourselves and in our relationships. And we pray together now for the planet in its healing needs. May this hour be of deep therapy for us, surgery for our souls, boosting our immunity of the mind and the bodies. May we stay with you today and always, and so be it. All right. Welcome, dear friends. Here we are. We're going to begin and show to you some information on how Spiritism understands healing. We're going to share a few information. Let me see here as we're coordinating here. All right. All right. Here we go. Let us begin. Of course, if you have questions, if you have comments, feel free to write it down. We'll make sure that we'll keep an eye. We have a team here, our SSVA team, and I have my phone, you know, for those who are helping us. You can let me know if, in case I'm not seeing a question that is coming up for us. So, healing with Spiritism. Would like to share with you a story from this book that is said to be in English and coming about in publishing form, but it was originally written by Amália Domingo Soler. Amália Domingo Soler gave us these beautiful cases in this book, Hechos que Prueban. If you read in Spanish, this is beautiful. You can find the PDF online. If you don't know Spanish, you can read it in Portuguese. And in Portuguese, I'd like to ask Luciana to type it in for us there in the comments. Reencarnação e Vida. This is the title in Portuguese. You can find the PDF when you Google it. Reencarnação e Vida. This book comes also in Portuguese, and it's such a treat for us. And in English, it's coming about. But if you read the Spiritist magazine, you'll be able to read some of these cases that we have translated. And even at Kardec Radio, we took 15 cases of it. Our team translated it, and we were able to share those 15 cases from this book, which has more than 15, by the way. So there is a case in this book that is titled Eternal Love. It's to remind us, Amália Domingo Soler used to live in Spain, and she was like the Chico Xavier of the Spanish Spiritist movement, an adorable soul. If you want to know more about her story, just go to spiritistmagazine.org. We have a whole um, issue years ago dedicated to her, having a little bio about her, so you have a glimpse about this wonderful spirit that has been taking care of so many lives on earth and with the legacy of Spiritism. Amália Domingo Soler was a medium. She used to receive many letters from many people who wanted clarifications. And then she received this letter from a grandfather who says to her, Amalia, I need your help and the help of your mentors, the spirit mentors, because I have this deep love for a granddaughter of mine. She is like 11, 12 years old, but I'm not able to take care of her because she is disabled, mute, deaf. She is mentally impaired. She is unable to walk, to do anything. She's prostrated on a bed. But I love her. And that kills me, he says, because I want to take care of her and I can't because she needs special care. And this feeling of mine, I don't understand why I feel this immense fatherly love for her. Where does it come from? Then the spirit mentor of Amalia Domingo Soler, Father Germain, and you can see, read one of the books is translated, Memoirs of Father Germain. It's a phenomenal book in which he writes his own memories. He comes and says, yes, Amalia, this is a case of many people. This spirit that now is in this difficult condition. More than 150 years ago was a man. The girl of today was a man in a previous life. A man who was an outlaw. He used to rob and steal. He had his own group. And he would go from city to city, killing people, stealing from people. And of course, he would seduce girls, rape women, and break their hearts and go. Till one day he was passing by this city. He seduced this young woman from a good, wealthy Catholic family. And the parents said, "No, you're not going to stay with him. He's not a good person." So she ran away with him. She ran away. But as every good woman, and of course, I'm being ironic here, she had this ideal in mind that she was going to change that man. She was a faithful Catholic woman. She used to go to the church every day. He didn't mind at first. She would go and pray, and they were still in love for each other. There's a lot of passion. But one day, this man got so bothered by it that he told one of his companions, "Today we have that mission, but you have a different one. You're going to disappear with her because she's bothering me. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it that she's talking about Jesus and all these things. I don't care." And the man felt for her because she was a good girl, but he fulfilled his mission, or, of course, there would be consequences. She discarnated, that girl from a good family who loved that man and wanted to change his heart. She didn't succeed then. He kept on doing his deeds until one day he was entrapped, and then he was killed in a particular setting by the police of the time. He discarnates. And who is there to see him, to help him out? The girl who loves him and wants to change him. So, because of her merit, she asks the good spirits to be side by side with him until he changes, no matter what. They both reincarnate. Who are they? The man who used to be a mobster, however we define it, a gangster, an outlaw, he reincarnates now as a girl to learn to respect women whom he didn't respect. Now he is feeling it in the very body of his or her. But he abused his eyes, his hands, his feet, everything, the whole body. And now he comes with impediments. He cannot see, blind, cannot talk, cannot hear, cannot move, cannot articulate. His healing begins in those conditions, in this reincarnation. But he doesn't come alone. He comes with a loving grandfather who has resources to pay for a good care, though he wants to directly, take care of her directly, but he can't. But the grandfather is the reincarnation of that woman who loved that outlaw and now asking God to be side by side is in this new reincarnation, in the recovery process, trying to rehabilitate the soul. This is one reincarnation of many that will come later. So, in our moment here, dear friends, as we are being asked to revisit healing, the first step into healing begins in our minds. And of course, as God presides life, we need to reincarnate. In the lesions of the body, in the diseases of the body, we're expunging disturbances we have accumulated from before. And if you're asking how, here it goes. The causes of our infirmities are not in your neighbor, it's in us, in previous lives. As Andrea Luiz explains to us, our morbid predisposition, our predispositions to diseases, our susceptibility to diseases, they begin where? It's in Evolution into Worlds, chapter 19, part 2. It all begins in our spiritual body, the perispirit. And you may be asking why. The dynamics are so that it all begins when we make a grave mistake. Andre Luiz explains the minute we make a grave mistake, everything changes in our spiritual body. We create nodules of disturbance. Through the remembrance of this grave mistake, we are going to create knots of vibratory disturbance in our spiritual body. And what happens next? Only reincarnation will make us heal. So, what we're seeing around the world nowadays, today, the coronavirus, it is much more than just a contamination, a contagious disease. It's about a collective infirmity, a collective mindset. And if you ask, what is this coronavirus all about? Of course, we don't want to be presumptuous to say we know it all. But according to our studies on psychosomatics, you can go to the symptoms of what this disease causes and understand a little bit of the mindset that attracts it. And that doesn't mean that when it happens to us, we are a bad person. No. It's because we needed to expunge some vibratory disturbance through that ailment, that illness. That ill vibration needs to be out of our spiritual body, of our mental body, our spiritual body, the perispirit, through the physical body, expunging it. So the healing is within. So when we get sick, we're being healed by itself. The first remedy is already happening because we're talking about the long-lasting healing. It's not the temporary healing, because at the end of the day, all of our bodies are going to be decomposed. One day, we're going to discarnate. So we may be saved today, but tomorrow, the physical body is going to be recycled on earth. But the healing is within the mind, the harmony, the harmonious mental body is in place. We're expunging through the physical body those disturbances. So if you ask, what is this coronavirus all about? It's about not trusting life. Because when we talk about diseases of the lung, respiratory illnesses, it's about our intake of life. When we talk about psychosomatics, we understand it's all about the intake of life. So let's do an assessment right now. How are you doing in that regard? Are you absorbing life easily or are we resisting? It's hard. How do you know, right? You can tell by observing yourself. When circumstances happen, how are you when something surprising is happening? Naturally, we're gonna stop breathing as if like we need to focus on the moment. It's the alert system, the sympathetic system in the body. But we need to observe if we sustain that not non-trusting life throughout our days. Because there are people who are like this. They have a hard time trusting life, trusting that life is good for them, that there is an abundance of loving providence for them. And you may say, but Vanessa, I know majority of people are like this. Of course, no wonder this is happening in our planet because majority of people are still not trusting life. They don't even talk about God. We have displaced God from our lives, right? From our businesses, from our schools, from our families. We have meals without no reverence to God. So it's like, I don't trust life. The second thing is about anger, dealing with anger. When we talk about fever, when we are talking about the coughing, the throat, the symptoms in the throat, the dry cough, we're talking about expressing ourselves, about anger. And if we could say something more, it's about emotional wounds that are still in us. So, holding grudges makes us more susceptible. It's a grave mistake. Pause for a second again. You may say, but Vanessa, I'm hurt and it's justified because somebody did something that was not fair, not just. Okay, but let us not forget, people are entitled to their own deeds. But what we do with it is our own deed. We can't blame them for feeling things because we're choosing to keep those things. That's why we say we take offense. People may throw at us offenses, but are you going to take it? Good question, right? We all have to cleanse our hearts, reconcile. And you may ask how. Psychology explains to us, and I would say Dr. Viktor Frankl, who lived the Holocaust and came out of it with a beautiful therapy, the logotherapy. It's the therapy of meaning. He showed to us that if we give different meanings to things in our lives change dramatically. So, learning how to give these apparent offenses new meanings. You want a good coach for it? Take Emmanuel in all of his novels from 2000 years ago to 50 years later to Hail Christ, Renunciation, and Paul and Stephen. In there, we're going to find different teachers from Livia to Anna in 2000 years ago. And then in 50 years later, we have Celia, to say the least, Celia. And then, Hail Christ, we have Quintus Varus, to say the least. Of course, there's Liv and Blandina and others. And then in Renunciation, mainly, not only Father Damien, but mostly Alcyone. In Poland, Stephen, we have Stephen and Abigail. Stephen, at his death, as a true Christian martyr, the first one, he looks at his persecutor Saul of Tarsus. And he's able to say to his sister, while almost dead, Abigail, I can see how Jesus is waiting for the good works that Saul is to do with him, which is outrageous to hear then because he's dying, he's being killed, murdered brutally, and he's looking at his very persecutor who couldn't stand it. But Stephen could see in his persecutor a new meaning in the whole scenario. So here we are, invited today to walk this new pathway, the pathway of a new meaning to the stimuli of life. Something that comes as an offense, we're going to turn it around and give it a new meaning so we can respond with greater ease, more meekly, more peacefully, and continue doing the good and investing on the good and believing on it. If I go back to a little more that we could share today before I open here for more conversation with our friends Paloma and Luciana, we would like to emphasize here in a minute with you the beauty of this teaching by Andrea Lewis in the book Evolution into Worlds. A grave mistake creates knots of vibrational disturbance in our spiritual body. The remembrance of it all is going to make it like crystallize, as he says, and only reincarnation will suffice to expel it out. Why does this happen? Because God is punishing us? No, we are under laws that are written in our conscience. And as they are written in our conscience, we can escape it. It's question and answer 621 of the Spirit's book. So doing the good is within us. If we don't do the good, we're in trouble. It's a grave mistake. Kardec asked, is it enough not to do evil? And the answer, no. Not doing evil is not enough because all the good that was left undone and the evil that it causes will be your responsibility. So washing our hands like Pontius Pilate, when we are invited to do the good and I say, I'm not going to do the good because there's no explanation. All the evil that comes from not doing the good will be our responsibility. It's the famous analogy of the banana skin. Somebody threw the banana skin in the street, on the street. We're passing by and we say, I didn't do that. And then soon after, a loved one comes, trips, breaks a leg, and we were co-responsible for it. This is pretty much how the laws work. Right now, we're being asked to revisit them all for our own benefit. Or we'll be connecting and creating more illnesses due to our poor associations in what we call in Spiritism obsessions. This is the case of one of Andrea Louis' books. It's in the book Voltaire that we at Kardec Radio, actually, I came back, Brother Jacob, we did a whole study at 11 p.m. years ago, and you can still watch it either on YouTube at Kardec Radio or Facebook page at Kardec Radio. It shows to us that our decisions towards the good or not will affect our associations, and thus we may create good ones or poor ones like the ones that will make us escalate in our infirmities, such as obsessions. If there is one thing we can surely say right now on earth that can predispose us to any contagious disease, is spiritual obsession. And you may ask, but Vanessa, do I have an obsessor? I mean, the question is who doesn't, right? Who at some point does not experience this persistent negative influence in our lives? But the question is, are you going to surrender to it? So let us talk a little bit about this because this is so important and vital. So important. In the book Thought and Life, Emmanuel talks about a chapter named Association. I think it's chapter 8. He says, as we think and feel, we create connections. So, if we're thinking good things, we're creating connections with good spirits. If we feel good feelings, we're connecting with good spirits. And the reverse is true. Envy, jealousy, spite, hatred, anger, sadness. What kinds of spirits are we going to attract? Good spirits? The good spirits are always connected to us or is helping us. But who will indulge in our vibrations? The ones that are feeling alike. And there are spirits who don't want to do any good. They just want us to fall in the abyss of evil. Kardec asked, it's chapter 9 of the second part of the Spirit's book, Intervention of the Spirits. Kardec asked, why do they do this? Why do evil spirits push us to the abyss? Because they envy you, us. It's true. It is true. We see it in mediumistic meetings. We as mediums, we see it all the time, cases after cases after cases. So common. Some have a particular agenda. So what do? We need to vibrate higher. Because if we allow these vibrations to sink in, it lowers our vibrations, it affects our immune system, and then we are more greatly exposed to illnesses in general. In general. So, for us who understand about Spiritism, we would say in the list of boosting immunity is healing from our obsessions. How can you do it, huh? How can we do it? The first step to heal from obsession is to stop your self-obsession. Because every obsession begins with self-obsession. And obsession in Spiritism is a technical term, and it means persistent, negative influence of one mind over another. How often we think negative about ourselves during the day? At least once a day. It's rare when we're going to find somebody who doesn't at all. So we need to heal from our self-obsession. We need to think positively about ourselves. Why? But Vanessa, you don't know me. I'm not a good person, but you're a child of God. Okay? You are a child of God. You have the divine seed in you, and God is investing on you because you exist. That's the proof that God believes in you. And you're reincarnated. God is investing on you. God is your sponsor. He is sponsoring you at each breath. So you have to look at yourself and say, I love and approve of myself because I am a child of God. Period. Whenever you doubt yourself, I know people who curse themselves. I am stupid. I'm this. Oh my gosh, don't say those things to you. Please be kind to you. Be gentle. We're too violent. And then, of course, we're violent with others because we're violent with ourselves. Be kind to you. Tell yourself, see how funny you are because you're growing. You know, like a duck, the duckling, they're so goofy, right? When they're like little babies, the animals, the puppies, the cubs, they're so lousy when they begin their lives. They are like, they don't know how to stay still and steady and stable, but they're cute. This is you and I. In our not knowingness, we have our cuteness. I bet that we do. Because Jesus proved to us that we're lovable. We're so lovable that he, for his whole life, he lived for us. And he still does. You're lovable, I'm lovable. So this is the first step. Love yourself. Tell good things to yourself. And this is not vanity. This is respect for God's creature, you. This is true love for God. You respect the divine in you. And you appreciate your wholesomeness. This is the first step out of self-obsession. Because then when a spirit comes and says, oh, Vanessa, who are you? You did this. And I'll say, you know, my friend, you're right. I did. But you know, I'm learning different things. And so should you. Because you do not deserve to be stuck here. You do not deserve to waste your time around me. You deserve better. Not because I'm a bad person, but you have your own destiny. There are loved ones awaiting you. And instead of surrendering to their suggestions of evil, which is not to teamwork with people in the good, not to reconcile with loved ones, etc., we will teach them kindly that we accept the good path. And by watching it, they will follow through. Read the book Sex and Destiny. When Claudio repented from his big mistakes, his companion in bad deeds in the spiritual realm, you could name him obsessor too, Moreira, he had, he shifted his heart too and learned a new way of being. I remember traveling in Brazil once, and Carlos and I were traveling to a Spiritist conference, and we sat next to a Spiritist judge whom we didn't know. It wasn't Haroldo Diaz, it was somebody else much more senior. And talking with him, he said something so wise, I never forget, and I thank him for that beautiful insight. He said, you know, the best way for us to get out of obsession is to be responsible in our own thoughts and feelings of the good, because we'll be educating the minds of these obsessors and freeing them from us because we are connected. So they can fly higher and begin anew with their lives and not be stuck with us. By doing so, we will also vibrate higher and will be less susceptible to illnesses because obsession creates infirmities. Read the book And Life Goes On or follow Carol Correa and Sunshine on Fridays at 1:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. They're almost at the end of the book, and you can see the story of Elise, who is in this symbiotic relationship with Desiderio and how many illnesses she develops due to that, including mental imbalance. Okay? So Gabriel Inácio is asking, What happens when some thoughts pass through our minds, but we don't feel attached by them? But these same thoughts keep in our mind. I feel guilty even when I don't accept it. You know, Gabriel, it's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking. And we want to say this. We need to know ourselves. You agree, right? As the spirits say, self-knowledge. We need to do an inventory of thoughts. There are certain things that are central themes in our lives, and we need to address them with a different method. Substituting thoughts simply won't do it. It's a particular training. And I'll give you an idea. If some people have certain addictions, right? They need to re educate themselves, they need external help. So if certain thoughts are recurrent, we need to mark them down. I would say for 10 days, you write it down. Observe how often. Write them down, even if it's on your phone. And then later, let's find remedies that will address it. Because sometimes they are just symptomatic of deeper things that are happening in us, themes that are recurrent from lives to lives and lives. Okay? Thank you. So, Sunshine is also asking self obsession like vanity, etc. Also, one of the first causes for obsession. You mentioned only negative self obsession. Yes, vanity is excessive admiration for ourselves. It's bad? Of course it is. So, how can you shift it around? You know a good strategy for vanity? Not that I know, there are many strategies, who am I to say, but one of them that I've come to know is what these beautiful first Christians did in all these books by Emmanuel. We bring all the goodness we see in us to God and say, God, you're amazing because your intelligence comes through me and you're amazing on what you do. So I always like healing mediums. You see Saul of Tarsus, Stephen, Peter, and all these people who became true healers. They didn't get themselves lost in vanity. Why? Because they knew that the source of it was is God. So when we see that our attributes, our beautiful features come from God, vanity disappears. No longer I'm going to think it comes from me. It comes from God through me, and it could go through anybody. It's not a privilege. It can come and go because it comes from me. Right? Right, friends? So this food for thought. Thank you, Sunshine. Such a beautiful question. So important as well. All right. So now let me show just a few more things and then we'll open up for a few more comments with our friends who are here. All right. So let us go. We need to be observant of our spiritual obsessions and address it, beginning with self obsession. Do the self disobsession by thinking positively, kindly, divinely about ourselves, and also addressing the issues so we can unplug from those who need help and are stuck with us because of our infirmities of the mind, right? So the healing, if we want to summarize it all, is multidimensional. True healing, like the coronavirus. If we get sick, it's, taking whatever medicine or it's not enough. The true healing comes from the mind. We need to trust in life first. The true healing comes when I start cleansing my heart from these grudges that I've been holding on, from not knowing how to deal with my anger. And then, of course, we become magnets of these microscopic missiles that we call the coronavirus. We're attracted. Humanity, we're saying, humanity has attracted. We've created it with our not healthy ways of being. So the healing needs to go through the physical body, the spiritual body, and the spirit. Now, if you're home, it's a good time to revisit what we do with our homes. Because whatever we create in the spiritual environment in our homes affects the nourishment of our spiritual body. Because as Kardec says, we have pores in our perispirit, and it absorbs the spiritual energies that are in the environment. And if in our homes we don't have harmony, we are already open to this, to the illnesses in general. We don't want to be simplistic, friends, because life is a continuum. Sometimes the disease of today is just the final expunging of vibrations that we have created a long time ago. Sometimes there is this illness that is a helping hand, preventing us from incurring greater mistakes. So you never know when people get sick, why they get sick. Only them and God know why. So we don't want to judge anybody. We don't want people to feel bad. We want people to feel empowered. You and God know why we may or may not get sick. What is important is we focus on the healing. And the healing is in the spirit, in the mind. How do we do it? Okay. In the book Evolution into Worlds, Andre Luis gives us a new twist to medications. He says that the true remedies are projections of chemoelectrical elements over the cells that will either stimulate or correct them. So when you take a remedy, it's not enough to take it. We need to make it with intention, to take it with intention, blessing it. But you know the first remedies that we take every day, besides the oxygen that we breathe in, the air, the food that we eat. These are true remedies. Bless them because they are going to go through your body. And if we take everything that we need with love and gratitude and appreciation, we're going to maximize the care of this physical body, the care of our minds. We need to eat with calmness, with peace, even when you have running kids around you. Deep inside, we have that awareness that the good spirits, they are there. And if we open a door with a prayer, the food, like Hippocrates used to say, the ancient Greek philosopher, he used to say, the father of medicine, right? In the Western world, he used to say that the first medicine is in our food. True. Chico Xavier says about the bananas, again, another banana in our story today. Chico Xavier enters a home to help people out who are feeling obsessed, but they never pray. He's hungry. He passes by the kitchen, but doesn't take the bananas. He looks at a banana bunch and he's like, But he goes and does what he has to do, like pray with people, give the passes. When he's leaving, he passes again through the kitchen. By the kitchen table, he takes a look at the bananas, but then he sees at the door two spirits coming in, eating the bananas. And he turns to Emmanuel and asks, "What is this, Emmanuel? Can you believe it? Spirits eating bananas." He said, "Yes. In houses where people don't pray, they are the food and everything is open to any spirit who want to come in and take what they want. And then he asks, what's going to happen to the bananas and to us when we eat these bananas? People are going to feel sick. So you go to a restaurant, we need to pray. Right now, they're closed. We better know what we're doing, because I know the stories behind the scenes of restaurants in the United States, and it's a tragedy. Everybody whom I encounter, there's even programs on Netflix that talk about it. The behind the scenes of people who are drug addicts, etc., being the servers, the cooks, etc. And then you go there and you're eating. And no wonder we're not doing well. Not because of them, but because of us. Because when we go there, we don't pray either. We don't pray for the cook, for the chef, for the waiters, for the waitresses. And in our home, do we pray when we eat to turn them into remedies? And when we take it, even a bottle of water or a glass of water, when we take it, say, thank you, God, because there are so many people who can't have access to it. And I can make my remedy here. My grandmother used to teach me this, and she does it to date. Whenever she feels anything, the first thing she does is to pray over a glass of water and drink it. She may take the medication, but first, the remedies that the spirits may present to us. Faith. Then we have here, of course, the psychotherapy, the healing of our emotions, organizing of our thoughts. Psychotherapy is so beautiful. As psychologists, I say to you, I see miracles happening. Why? Because people are being helped in organizing their emotions, their feelings. We need each other for this, and the passes. But if you are not going to the Spiritist Center, remember, the Spirit doctors come where you open the door. Right now, we're preparing for this moment here in our meeting. And if you put a glass of water, you still have time to bring a bottle of water or a jar, a glass, put it there, so we can receive the treatment that we need. And your loved ones as well, including the animals, because they are divine creatures too. They need loving care. And of course, we can't refrain from remembering Dr. Bezerra de Menezes, who is in charge of a legion of medical doctors, nurses, therapists around the world, happening this greater awareness, especially now during the time of the coronavirus, when we are being invited to revisit why we have chosen healthcare professions. Is it for money? Because if it is, we'll be in trouble. Is it for the sake of really reaching out and healing? If it is, we'll have good connections. To finalize and open a little bit for comments from Luciana and Paloma before our passes in prayer, we'd like to bring you one of the best remedies for now, for our healing, as prevention and remedy in the Gospel according to Spiritism. Chapter 5, which is the longest. Item 14th, calm and resignation as the best preventative remedies to mental illnesses, suicide, but to problems in general in our life. Right now, as we are here together, let us rest assured that we need to cultivate calmness. You turn on the news and people are saying numbers XYZ of deaths and the virus is spreading, and then the government is saying why, and the strategies of the economy, and you're more desperate, more lost. Why? Because they're just so humans too. You didn't turn on, did you turn on God's TV? No, that's not God's TV. We need to forgive our brothers and sisters who are in these roles of leadership and don't know like ourselves. But if we turn on God's TV, we'll be calm. Even if we are infected with the coronavirus and in the hospital. Because it's God telling you, can you please pray for everybody who is here because you know of me? Can you please pray for these nurses and doctors who are desperate, dealing with this and not knowing when they're going to get sick? And they have families too. Can you please stay here, sick but praying and faithful, because we need you here now? If we turn on God's TV, we're calm and we surrender. Resignation, we surrender. We don't want a power struggle with God saying, God, what's going to happen? I don't know, but you know, so I'm safe. You don't need to tell me. Like a baby. The baby trusts the caregiver. The baby trusts. Do you trust in God? Our healing begins when we trust in God 100%. Of course, we still need to do our part, but I trust that God has minutious details for the healing of all of us. All of us. Now I want to call our friends here who are with us, Luciana and Paloma. Thank you for being with us. And we're talking about healing, how Spiritism can help us, Paloma and Luciana. So, Paloma, would you like to mark it with a highlight for us?
Yes. So when he was talking about healing and coming from the spiritist perspective, it broadens our understanding of it. We already have science and it's given by God to heal our physical body when it's supposed to happen. He also gave it as an alarm system to us, right? Something is happening on the physical body. It's because we need to change or observe, why is it happening. It goes beyond just the skin or the organ. And then comes in Spiritism, says yes, the healing is way more profound than we have ever imagined. And today, revisiting the book Memoirs of a Suicide, when of course there's deep healing happening with the souls when they're being rescued in the spiritual realm. And you see that the nurses coach the thought process. It's like you are an immortal soul. You're not what you thought you were. You actually, this mental state that you keep reliving, you have to stop now so that healing can happen. And it's just so beautiful that they are coaching us that our thought process is affecting our capacity to heal ourselves. So we are in charge of it. We have to trust in God that He has the best doctor treating us, that we are right now at this very moment in our homes being treated by doctors and nurses, our families being treated, and just trust that whatever is happening should help us reflect in how we're going to move towards eternity, right? Towards our progress. It's really comforting to know that we are more than just this.
Yes, thank you so much. The mental part of it all. Let's focus on this, the mind. Thank you, Paloma and
Yeah.
Luciana. I know Spiritism can bring us so many wonderful tools to promote this healing, boost our immunity. What would you like to highlight to everyone who is with her here?
So it was very interesting, like throughout the study, all the information that we receive, how to take care of ourselves, right? And it's very important for us to really take the time that we're having at home nowadays to analyze how who we really are, right? So that way we can start healing. And it's interesting when you're mentioning that we should be taking care of what we eat, because a lot of doctors that I go nowadays, they're more open mind, more holistic. They always say, before you eat anything, think about and pray. And it's interesting because my grandma, like you said, always teach us, right? Let us go and have a meal, we'll pray, and then bless everything that we are receiving for this day, and then we'll partake in eating in a very elevated vibration. And to be able, like, a takeaway home message for me, it is for us to be always watching, pray, and remember to do the gospel at home. Because as we do the gospel at home, the vibration of the whole house and the neighborhood changes. And this is going to make us start the process of the healingness with us and the others around us. So when we're praying, we're doing this gospel at home, we can start breaking all these bad connections that we had created for ourselves and start the healing. So it's important for us to think, and before we do something, we always need to analyze uh, what is the best or the less damage, collateral damage that we can make that by making this decision, right? So before I decide something, I need to analyze what will be less bad, right? Not only for me but for the others. So then you start doing the healing as you try to process and think about everything and all decisions that you need to make. But we always need to be watching and praying, and doing the gospel is already one little pill that will help change and do the healing.
That's a beautiful reminder. Beautiful reminder. Thank you so much, Luciana. Right now, since we're talking about healing and we're talking about the importance of boosting on our end, because the good spirits are with us always. They always want to help us and protect us and heal us and harmonize us, but we need to do our share. So let us all now march together, wherever you are. Bring your bottle of water, your jar. It's the virtual passes followed by the prayer. Okay? I will lead you into that, and then Paloma is going to do the final prayer. So let us keep here with us this beautiful image. Okay, 1 second here. Of Jesus embracing all of us for our own healing. So let us all now visualize the master of all masters, the doctor of all doctors, the loving and sweet, strong Master Jesus embracing us. Let us breathe in and out, receiving from him this loving care. With his illuminated hands, he detox our minds, imprinting in us wonderful healing vibrations. Let us accept with gratitude and visualize that from Jesus' heart, sacred loving rays of healing light envelop us, mind and bodies. And this light of his heart envelops our homes, our loved ones, pets and plants included, magnetizing the water that we shall drink daily with remedies. And we see that from the walls, the windows, and the doors of our houses, rays of this healing light permeate the houses of our neighbors, enveloping them in healing and joy. And from their homes to the streets of our cities, these healing waves embracing the states where we live in, and from our states to our countries, enveloping each leadership in our countries with greater wisdom, with much love and compassion, and our whole planet be enveloped by the love of our Lord Jesus Christ, our divine representative on earth. Let us feel this envelopment of healing, healing humanity, awakening humanity to love, as we call our dear friend Paloma.
Maintaining the beautiful image of Jesus in his sacred heart. Dear loving Master, we are immensely grateful for all the pathways that you show to us, pathways that will take us to you. Loving and caring doctors sent by you, teachers, guides, our own guardian angel. God's designs are so perfect that allows us to find the right way to you. We thank you for the beautiful messages that came through the books of Chico Xavier and the many other mediums that allows us to reflect on deeper meanings of life. Tonight, the very special topic of healing makes us reflect in how we heal our soul, our spirit. We would like to extend this prayer to the many incarnate and discarnate that right now are in much need of healing energies. Let us share of the many blessings that we have received, showering them as if it was a warm hug directly from Jesus. We pray to the nursing homes, to the teachers, to the people in the supermarkets and pharmacies, male people, to all the ones that are now supporting us being home. Dear loving Master, we trust in you and in your plans as they come from God. And with you, we would like to stay this whole week. And we would like to ask now for your permission to close this meeting tonight. And so be it.
Thank you, Paloma. Thank you, Luciana, for being here with us. And thank you, friends. Let us focus on this healing, the healing within, and team up with the good spirits so we can conquer a new step on earth. So until next time, don't forget, if you have any question or need any help, we are here at Cardiac Radio and the Spirit Side of Virginia's team also to help you. You can write at cardiacradio@gmail.com to ask your questions, and we'll be here to support you in your process. So many blessings to all of you, and until next time, friends. Bye-bye.